Yo peeps, welcome to Conspiracy Cupboard. So today is the final part of Rendlesham Forest and my part 3. I'll go for a bit of an analysis and sort of give my thoughts and everything. So here we go. Cue the title sequence. Yeah. There we go. So as you can see, I've got the robe of conspiracy on because it's cold in the conspiracy cupboard. So today I'm going to cover a roundup sort of Rendlesham Forest. A very interesting case. So if you've not seen all of it, please go back and watch part 1 and part 2. Give me your feedback as you watch through the episode. So there's loads of information then, okay, that gets chucked at you. You know, you've got Colonel Holt, you've got Jim Penniston, you've got Larry Warren, you know, the out there sort of thing. I mean, Jim Penniston's account is pretty out there as well, you know, and then you've got John Burroughs as well, and obviously the injuries that he's claimed for, and the fact that he's actually got compensation through the military for, you know, whatever happened on this night that possibly injured him or gave him illnesses down the road. So you've heard all the accounts then. You know, obviously the night, so it started on the 26th of December and was seen again on the 28th. Obviously they went out to investigate on the 27th, which is where they found the weird markings in the ground, and obviously went out on the evening because this thing came back. And this is where you get the recording from Colonel Holt there, and you know, I've played that to you. That was from the basement office from New York Post. So a couple of things that I want to say about this then. So the UK Ministry of Defence, okay, stated that the evening posed no threat to national security and therefore was never investigated as a security matter. You know, and skeptics obviously have explained these sightings away. So I'm going to give you some skeptical analysis then. So as I've mentioned before, we've got the Orfordness Lighthouse, okay? So one proposed theory is that the incident was a hoax. BBC, sorry, I nearly threw up in my mouth then, reported that former US security policeman Kevin Condy claimed responsibility for creating strange lights in the forest by driving around in a police vehicle whose lights he had modified. However, there is no evidence that this prank took place in the nights in question. So, you know, that you've got little pieces like that. Okay, you've got other explanations that the incident may have included some kind of downed Soviet spy satellite, but no evidence, again, has been brought forward to support this. So the most plausible, then, skeptical explanation is that the sightings were due to a combination of 3 main factors. So the initial sighting at 3 a.m. on the 26th of December, when the airmen saw something apparently descending into the forest, coincided with the appearance of a bright fireball over southern England, and such fireballs are a common source of UFO reports. And we see many meteors in the sky. I've seen loads myself. If you know when they're coming and when to watch for them, and obviously what direction and things and the best places to see them, then you can do it as long as it's not cloudy. And if you live in England, it's pretty much cloudy all the time. So go somewhere else to see them. No, you can see them in the UK. But to me, again, this, yeah, no actual evidence has emerged to confirm anything came down in the forest, apart from the report that we got that something came down in the forest, okay? And then you're going to say it's meteor. You know, I don't think airmen would confuse a meteorite as something crashing into the forest, okay? So then we've got this portion. According to the witness statements from the 26th of December, the flashing light seen from the forest lay in the same direction as the Orfordness Lighthouse, okay? So when approaching, the eyewitness attempted to approach the light. They realised it was further off than they thought. One of the witnesses, Ed Kadersberg, described it as being a beacon of light, okay, in the distance, while another, John Burroughs, said it was a lighthouse. So John Burroughs is, again, a contradicting sort of guy, but he was there when Jim Penniston encountered this UFO, this machine that landed. And the descriptions obviously are given back. So again, the lighthouse theory, I don't think it's the lighthouse. I really don't. You know, to mistake a lighthouse for a UFO or, you know, a downed airship or something, is just not plausible. Okay, but I've got to give the skeptical side. Okay, so the timings on Holt's tape recording during his sighting on the 28th of December indicate that the light he saw, which lay in the same direction as the light seen 2 nights earlier, flashed every 5 seconds, which was the flash rate of the Orpheus lighthouse. I can't remember him actually saying it was flashing every 5 seconds. They saw it moving in and moving out, and like he said, it moved through the trees. Okay. So another skeptical analysis is that the star-like objects that Holt reported hovering low in the north and south were thought to be some skeptics to have been misinterpretations of bright stars distorted by atmospheric or optical effects. Other common source UFO reports, the brightest of them, into the south, matched the position of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. Again, does the star Sirius move about through the trees? Last time I checked, stars don't really do that kind of thing. Okay, so putting that out there. Okay, so I've got this other skeptical bit to read for you as well. So in his 6th of January 2009 Skeptoid podcast, episode titled Rendlesham Forest UFO Skeptic, the author Brian Dunning evaluated the original eyewitness reports and audio recordings as well as resulting media report of this incident. After a lengthy analysis, Dunning concluded Colonel Holt's thoroughness was commendable, which it was, but even he can be mistaken without exception. Sorry. Everything he reported on his audio tape and was written memo was a perfectly rational and unremarkable explanation. It all remains that the tale of the men were debriefed and ordered never to mention the event and were warned that bullets were cheap. Well, as we've seen on television, the men all talk quite freely about it, and even Colonel Holt says to this day that nobody's ever debriefed him. So this appears to be just another dramatic invention for television. Perhaps one of the men who have expanded their stories over the years. When you examine each piece of the evidence separately on its own merit, you avoid the trap of pattern matching and finding colorations where none exist. The meteors had nothing to do with it, the lighthouse or the rabbit diggings. But when you hear all 3 stories told together, it's easy to conclude, as the airmen did, that the light seen was some kind of alien spacecraft in the forest. Remember, separate pieces of poor evidence don't aggregate together to make a single piece of good evidence. And my favourite out of all the possible things that it could have been, other than UFOs or extra-dimensional beings or humans from the future or whatever, or people looking into nuclear sites, which I'm going to be getting into in a moment, it could possibly have been this. So in December 2018, David Clark, a British UFO researcher, reported a claim that the incident was set up by the SAS as a revenge plot on the US Air Force. According to this story, in August 1980, the SAS parachuted into RAF Woodbridge to test the security at the nuclear base. The US Air Force had recently upgraded their radar and detected the black parachutes of the SAS men as they descended into the base. As SAS troops were interrogated and beaten up, with the ultimate insult that they were called unidentified aliens. To enact their revenge, the SAS gave the US Air Force their own version of an alien event. As December approached, lights and coloured flares were rigged in the woods. Black helium balloons were also coupled to remote controls. Kites to carry suspended materials in the sky, activated by radio controls. However, Clark's investigation concluded that the story itself was a hoax. So if you've heard that version and whatever, I'd love to think it was that. I mean, it's something that I would love to think the SAS would do. I mean, it's something that SAS are very capable of, you know, doing, is staging something like this, which I'm going to be getting into in later videos, because we do have possible staging of alien events and things going off and stuff like that. So we're going to get into that in a few later episodes. So, as I mentioned in a previous episode, the there is a UFO trail down in Rendlesham Forest. So in 2005, the Forestry Commission used lottery proceeds to create a trail in Rendlesham Forest because of public interest and nicknamed it the UFO Trail. In 2014, the Forestry Service commissioned an artist to create a work which had been installed at the end of the trail. Now, I've used this a few pieces, so I'll put it up here for you to see, sort of an artist rendition of the UFO that was seen. The artist states that the piece is modelled on sketches that reportedly represent some versions of the UFO claimed to have been seen at Rendlesham. So these will have been taken from Jim Pennison then and John Burroughs. Like I said, there's people's accounts in this that sort of flip and flop about, okay? So I'll just mention Jim Pennison then quickly. So we looked into him and his apparent touching the glyphs and getting this download of information or blacking out a white light thing, and then a day later getting this information coming to him and he's got to write it down. I've got to say, he has shown this notebook before and never managed to flick through to find these zeros and ones, okay? And as I mentioned, they don't actually... So there's a lot of different interpretations for them, and it depends where you look and who you look on as to what these things say, whether they've got coordinates to the pyramids and Stonehenge and places. And these are things that you have to be careful with when looking into UFOs. If you've got to be skeptical as well as being open-minded. So this is why I've done it as a three-parter, because some of the ones that I cover can be done in one piece, okay? I'm doing another thing on the Penturk incident, which is the Welsh Roswell, as this is claimed to be the UK Roswell, but there's other sightings as well. But I'm doing another piece on that because I find that case so... I can't stop looking into it. If you've not seen it, I've done a piece on it already where I take pieces from the YouTube channel Central, where Kaz has done a few interviews on there. Now, I'm hoping at some point to be able to go and speak to her myself, because her account's fascinating. And the fact that people put her account down, I know this is separate to Rendlesham, but it actually adds to the topic in a minute, is that people put her story down because she's so well spoken and she can describe it really well. You're too intelligent to have seen a UFO. You can say words. She says words together. Don't do thing. I mean, what do people want? You're either too dumb to have had a UFO experience, or you must have made it up or been high. You're either too intelligent and well-spoken and must have an agenda to do something. You can't really win, can you, I suppose? So what I'd like from this episode then is your thoughts on this, okay? What do you think about Rendlesham Forest? The whole thing, okay? Go back and watch part 1, part 2. You get to see Larry Warren, you get to see Jim Pennison, you get to see bits about all of them, okay? Colonel Hall and sort of his description, and he is adamant that what he saw on the 28th, the 2 nights after sort of thing, like the second night, if you will, really, where stuff was seen, that he can't explain this, and he has no idea what this thing was at all. No idea. Couldn't tell you. And that's his honest opinion. You know, the things it did, letting off sparks, beaming down a light, you know, what was it searching for? So before I go on to sort of the final topic on this, I want to mention Nick Pope, okay? Because Nick Pope is part of the, or was part of the Ministry of Defence, part of Project, well, had influence in Project Conding, I believe, and other things like this, part of the DI-55, investigating UFOs, and he's still held by the Secrets Act. So what does he actually know about this case? He's spoken on, as I mentioned, the New York Post, okay? So go and watch the Basement Office on there. There's a full thing. I've taken a few clips from this, but go and watch the full episode because there's a lot more on there. I didn't take all the stuff from there. Just go and watch them. They're really great. There's 2-parter on Rendlesham Forest, okay? And obviously he's talking to Nick Pope, and Nick was one of the guys investigating this when it happened, or not long after it happened. But obviously he can't tell us what's actually gone off. Now, I know a few military personnel in the UK, and I've got to be very careful about what I speak about because they're under the Secrets Act. And I've had a video that I've posted, which I'm going to put on here actually at the end of the video, to show you a sighting of unknown objects in the sky. So you've got to put your brightness up on your phone or whatever you're watching on your telly. Put your brightness right up and you'll be able to see this thing. So I'm going to put that on here in a minute for you. So you've got that again, and you can watch that. So I'll tell you what, here we go. Let's do it now. I'll put it on and just see what you think about it. So then this is a video sent in by one of my viewers from their back garden in Gloucestershire, UK. It shows a number of strange objects in the sky that aren't identified. Now, this guy can't give any details, but he knows what's what in the sky, and basically has some dealings with the UK military, so I can't go too far into it, but basically they're saying this is not a satellite, this is not a plane, no idea what it is, and then the second object cannot be seen by their eyes, only by the view screen. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's a satellite either, because it's not moving like one.
It keeps stopping a little bit, like slowing and then going faster.
I've got another one. What the hell? I've got one on the right hand side just bobbling around. It's not. I can't even see it. It's on the camera.
So that was filmed in Cheltenham then, and like Gloucestershire. And the military personnel that filmed it is, he knows what he's talking about. He's quite high up. I can't divulge his name yet or anything. I will be getting him on the podcast at some point to speak about things, not out of security, realms. But even he said he sees things and he tracks things that are not satellites. They are not planes. Whatever they are, they come in from space and then fly around and then sod off or disappear or seem to come out of nowhere. Kaz Clark described her experience as this object coming out of nowhere. So this is where I'm linking in then. Military bases, okay? Ministry of Defence, what do they know? What is going off? This was a military base, if you believe what's being said, a military storage facility. So were these UFOs, if they were there, if they were actually there, were they looking for nuclear material, to see what we're doing, find out what's going on kind of thing? A bit of a survey, again, of what are these stupid apes up to now, as with the current situation that's going off, which I'll be doing a video on, because it's absolutely insane. I'm sure you all agree with me. I don't know anyone that wants to go to war, apart from people with money. Apparently want to go to war, so we're all buggered, but that's a separate topic which I'll be getting into at some point. But yeah, it fascinates me. So some of the upcoming episodes then, obviously I've got some ancient culture stuff to bring up with you, some ancient civilizations, some ancient technology things with Malcolm Bendal. I've got a full video coming up on Malcolm Bendal. If you don't know about that, Google his name, search him, go and have a look. You're going to find many things, especially if you look on Wikipedia. I'm not sort of putting him down and putting his work down, but the actual work that he's doing, sacred geometry, sorry. It's fascinating. I can't quite wrap my head around it. I'm really trying at the minute to work out where that's going. But if this is true, basically frequencies and sound can power stuff, and you can use geometry and frequencies to basically reinsert matter, so you can basically make an engine run 100% efficient on fossil fuels. So climate people are not going to like that, but it's a fact, and they're doing it now. So you've got these technologies, you've got these kind of things. So those are going to be sort of the episodes that are going to be coming up, along with the Five Eyes, which I mentioned a few episodes ago. So I'm going to do a video about that. That's the countries that are basically all together, and they're the ones that seem to be pushing war and cover-ups, and that seem to have some kind of knowledge of UFOs when they're coming into our space through frequencies. And as I've mentioned once before, I know I've said this a couple of times now, but all the things that people consider to be crazy and conspiracy theory and loony out there kind of things, like astral projection, UFOs, UAPs, cryptids, ghosts, communicating with the dead. All these things, other dimensions, all these things that are apparently crazy and out there and wacky and cuckoo and, conspiracy have all been investigated by pretty much every single major power on the planet. You know, you had the Stargate program, which I'm going to do an episode on. You know, you've had many operations by the CIA in America who have done things like, you know, astral projections through Stargate, things like LSD testing on people, drug testing on, you know, population without them knowing, you know, things like this. And these are the videos that I'm going to be sort of delving into a bit more for you to open up these realms of conspiracy, to show you basically and give you an option of what you want to do. Which is why I've done this 3-part episode on Rendlesham Forest, because it's up to you what you believe, what you decide. I'm not trying to tell you anything. And if I give you all the facts, and like I say, there's some loony bits in there, you might be able to piece some bits together. Was it the SAS? Was it the frigging lighthouse? Was it someone driving around with lights? Was it a interdimensional UFO? Did these beings actually come out, and do we have a recording of this somewhere? Who knows? I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. You know, it's a cool story. It's a cool story. But there's more evidence to say it's actually fact and it happened than there is to say it isn't. So, I know I went off on a tangent in the middle there, but hey ho. So, my final words, I just want to say thank you very much for subscribing. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment, please. If you watched this far into the video, leave me a comment on why you've subscribed. You don't have to make it long-winded or anything. I've had some people drop out, some people come in and stuff like that. So, just let me know, what kind of content do you want to see? You know, do you like where the channel's going? There's some more episodes of Trivial that are going to be available on Spotify pretty soon. We're just waiting to get together to record a few bits. So there's loads of things to come up. So yeah, just leave me a comment. Let me know what you guys like to see. And thank you very much for sticking around for this 3rd part. And just listening to the skeptical sort of bits. And you can make your own minds up, people. That is the point. Oh, I've also got a video on Lawrence Fox coming up, and the ULEZ agenda thing again. I've done a thing about this in the climate change video that you might want to go and watch. So this is basically an episode telling you to go and watch other episodes that I've done. Please, and subscribe. I know it's so petty, but I don't ask for any money from you guys. Not yet, anyway. I am going to be sorting a Patreon out where I can put up content on there and sorting the website out and some other bits. So that's all sort of things to come. But as you know, I'm just a guy in a shed filming this for you because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy telling you these things, and you know, I don't want to push an opinion on anyone. I honestly believe that these things are either interdimensional or they've been here the entire time. Whether some of these claims and some of these sightings have been seen or not, it doesn't matter. And, you know, that's for us to sort of sift through and decide. Now, there are some wacky claims and some things out there that you have to sort of look through, especially in the UFO field and paranormal, you know, all of it. And just pick out the bits that seem genuine, seem like, you know, okay, could this guy have made this up? Could this be this, you know? And then sort of go from there. So, that's all I'm going to say. Use your own mind to determine about everything, okay? Your political choices, what's going on in your life, everything. Let's all work together. Let's just be free, okay? Let's end this video on a lovely, wonderful note. So, once again, thank you very much for subscribing. And I will see you in the next video. Have a lovely evening, people. See you later.
Shoulder as I was going over the rise, and this face-off was still going on this field called Capel Green, and I'll never forget it. And there it was. We got back to the vehicles and left.
We're turning around, heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground.